Namaste, namaste, precious souls. Welcome to Book of Life. On this Monday, we will be on fourth degree, lesson 19, the group unit of kindred souls. Before we begin, we'll do a little invocation and then we'll get started. Go ahead and just place the tip of the tongue on the palate in a nice receptive pose. To the Supreme Being, the source and fountain of all life, to all of our spiritual teachers, the Holy Master Choa, Buddha Padmasambhava, Robert and Earlyne, Master Astara, Lord Kuthumi, Lord Rama, Lord Zoser, the Astarian hierarchy, the Lord Yehoshua, Bar Miriam, the Lord Christ, Holy Mother Mary, Lord Kuan Yin Buddha, Lord Gautama Buddha, all the great ones. May we be a channel through which thy holy ones approach the world. May we be a center of radiation of thy power. Teach us to travel light, that we may better gain the heights, break the bonds that bind. Teach us to give ourselves entirely to thy service, to attune ourselves to thy will. Teach us to lay down the small personal life for the greater cosmic life, and to love with the love of God, with thanks and in full faith. Tat tat so. Tat tat so. All right. Fourth degree, lesson 19. The group unit of kindred souls. Kindred souls. Explain the teaching of kindred souls, we asked of Burton, and his reply was indeed profound. When a soul evolves from the lower kingdoms to manifest in the worlds of humans as such, it possesses little or no consciousness as a spiritual entity. The soul goes through life after life and death after death. Each time it passes through the Bardo state, it is met by the soul being who gives it its choice of compensating for its earthly mistakes while in the astral world, or of returning immediately to earth for another physical incarnation. With no hesitancy whatever, the soul chooses to return to earth, much as a child would rather run out to play than do homework, even though in the romp he or she may experience falls and bruises. Young souls always prefer rapid incarnations. Their passage through the Bardo is usually tinged with fear because their earthly lives have been filled with conflict, hatred, and bloodshed. This type of soul has cultivated little awareness of the astral, since its astral form has not attained maturity. It lives largely without cultivating a healthy awareness of its emotions or mental complexity, and rarely experiencing a flash of true intuition. Thus, it incarnates rapidly after each death for another experience in the body. As eons pass, three wondrous things occur in the divine plan. 1, each soul lays up for itself a store of karma. 2, it gathers unto itself experience which adds to the creation of the oversoul or causal form, into which only the record of one's good ascends. 3, its astral form, the form of one's desires, begins to attain puberty, and its emotions begin to extend outward beyond itself, its family, even beyond the ethos, the culture. One's personal awareness evolves. How does the oversoul develop? With each incarnation and death, there is stored in its oversoul the memories, the experiences gathered during each earth journey, so that the oversoul eventually becomes greater than the personality on earth. Previously vacant and empty of life encounters, it now becomes the home of all the soul's varied memories and experiences. Thus, it has gradually become the high self, the greater self, while the earth personality, hastening to reincarnate frequently, becomes the lower self. It is at this stage of the soul's evolution that, under the influence of the high self, the human personality begins to remain longer in the higher worlds after each death, journeying through its self-created dark planes, enjoying its existence on the astral and reaping its rewards, its vague, unremembered rewards, on the causal level. When it has attained this point in its evolution, both the greater self and lower self become aware of strange ties with certain other souls. Kindred souls who possess affinities each for the other begin to group together on the causal level. This league of high selves becomes what is known as a group of kindred souls, sometimes called a group soul, but we shall call it a kin soul unit, because of course it is quite different from what we will teach later concerning animal group souls. The gathering of kindred souls is to serve an indescribable purpose in the evolution of the individual human personality. The union of these high souls is for the purpose of circumventing other souls having to take many journeys into the world of matter for more physical incarnations. How does death benefit the soul? There comes a time following each death when a soul withdraws into its inner world, there to absorb unto itself not only a record and an understanding of its experiences in all past lives, but to make those experiences, those attributes, those developed talents, an innate part of its character and human nature. Now, if during this inward journey the soul comes in contact with not only its own experiences, but those relating to other kindred souls, it will have saved several journeys into matter in order to gain these same experiences for itself. Each soul turned inward to absorb its life vignettes and memories will vicariously absorb the experiences of the others in its kindred soul unit. Each will learn not only from its own experience, but now has the awareness to learn from others' experience as well. Just as a sponge absorbs water, so does the inward turned soul absorb unto itself the attributes, the encounters, the memories, the talents of all the kindred souls united with its own higher self. In this sense, the individual soul becomes a part of a unit of kindred souls, a group, a family of like souls. Now, let us say the group decides to expand. They may take over the guardianship of younger souls, the purpose being not only to help these souls struggle their way through the battles faced during Earth incarnations, but also to absorb their experiences, thereby in turn adding to their own progressive evolution. Thus, a unit of kindred souls may well link together 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, or even 1,000 in one unit, sharing an affinity. Much as twins often share similar emotions when away from each other, so members of the kin soul unit are often attuned to the experiences, memories, and emotions of others in the group. Frequently, some of the group incarnate as a family. Why are kindred soul marriages successful? Many times, members of the group, though incarnated under varying circumstances and different situations, will meet and marry. These kindred soul marriages are very successful, for shining through them is an affinity unknown among other life partners. The group, uniting to pool their incarnations, might be compared to a group of lawyers or doctors who join together to establish a professional association. Each member of the group is a separate entity, yet each shares an interest in the advancement of their common goals. The principal purpose of soul kinship is to further the advancement of each member without the necessity of unnumbered incarnations. Thus, a group of writers may form a unit and make it their project to enhance the career of a writer on Earth. They will inspire, guard, and guide this writer, considering him or her their protege. The person may already be a member of the group and have incarnated to represent it on Earth, or through this spiritual contact may become a part of the group on the inner planes. Clergy people may unite over here to inspire your clergy person. Statesmen and women and politicians may group to overshadow their colleagues on Earth, the better to aid them in their decisions which affect so many. These groupings frequently are referred to as family groupings, though many of the souls involved in the unit are not of blood tie. It is a matter of like attracting like. Often, the unit selects several of their members to go into Earth life under its guardianship. Some of the Earth-going may agree to accept some karmic burdens of certain souls within the group, while those on the inner spiritual realms agree to perform certain services or missions through the ambassador on Earth. The completion of such an Earth service therefore helps both the spiritual advancement of the one on Earth and also members of the kin soul unit. A group of artists may select one of their members to send to Earth as their representative. This personality, overshadowed by genius, will in turn become a genius on Earth. Such a person will be constantly aware of guardianship, protection, guidance, and inspiration in his or her labors of Earth, which will indeed be labors of love. Frequently, the group selects two souls from the unit to incarnate. Meeting on Earth, these two unite in a most loving and perfect relationship. From this union, several other members of the group may come as children. This Earth family cannot help but be one of outstanding talents, demonstrating remarkable intuitive qualities and intellect, furthering in every way the betterment of the human race. Group unit. To help us better understand, I pressed, let us make the teaching apply personally. Are you saying that I, for example, could avoid more incarnations if I choose by becoming part of a group soul? And Burton explained, you can easily understand the concept of progression through varying densities of etheric octaves, where your environment will be that of greater social compatibility because you will be living among souls of similar spiritual attainments. What is the tie that binds a working unit together? It is only the advanced soul who reaches the high planes who begins to experience a consciousness where self-referral becomes less important and the idea of harmonizing with a group of like-minded souls to perform certain missions becomes more meaningful. The sense of self-isolation lessens and the individual becomes increasingly aware of his or her compatibility and connection with a certain unit of like-minded spirits. To make it easier to understand, it isn't difficult for you to grasp the idea that you have been coming into incarnation through many generations along with your entire family unit. Enlarging this concept, it should not be difficult for you to understand that you have also been incarnating time after time as a member of a soul group, which is cosmically interrelated. It is not uncommon to witness the integration of various like-minded people here on Earth. Let us say that doctors wish to form a community of their own, grouping together as colleagues. Let us say also that the motion picture industry forms a colony of its own where actors and actresses are housed, perform their dramas, go out on acting missions as groups. Mystics also form colonies of their own, much as the Essenes did in ancient days. Thus, it is not difficult for our minds to grasp that souls may depart their family unit to become a part of a group soul unit. You are drawn to the group with which you are spiritually attuned because of the commonality of experiences. It is very possible that one's mother, father, sister, sweetheart, wife, husband, or life partner, friends, and business associates are unsuspecting members of a private cosmic group, forming what we call a secondary group intelligence. This group eventually evolves a personality of its own, in that every individual within the unit experiences spiritual attunements with the others. Each will have the same ideals, attitudes, and purposes to attain. Only after we arrive on the causal plane do we find ourselves becoming increasingly conscious of our link with our own group and what the group has experienced in totality. Well, can I remain an individual and still belong to a group unit? We begin to live beyond the aura of our personality only, in other words, and enlarge our concepts to embrace the group unit. We discover that our consciousness likewise enlarges in that we are able to think beyond our total experiences and achieve spiritual involvement in the entire group activity. Still retaining our own individuality, we may attain cosmic illumination, which includes our being able to perceive universal wisdom as it has been ingathered by the entire group. We are able to tune in on the mental reservoir created by the group unit and expand our own universal knowledge by dipping into it. Such mental expansion occurs as a natural soul growth in life's higher echelons, since there comes a time when we no longer profit by experiences in strict individuality. Such a cosmic development is the actual beginning of our abstract thinking processes. We become not only fully aware of our life on the causal plane, but attuning to the group mind totality, we begin to regard various worlds and solar systems from outside their actual functionings instead of being a part of them from within. How is my progression involved in more than this one Earth life? We are able to tune in on the mental reservoir created by the group unit and expand our own universal knowledge by dipping into it. Just as humans are now seeking to expand beyond ties to Mother Earth to soar into the outer spaces and land on other planets, so does the mind begin to expand beyond its self-awareness to experience universe awareness. You will be experiencing your first consciousness as an operating God. Now, to relate all of this to you personally, every cell and atom of you, Earlyne, is a writer. How many lives have you been absorbed in this profession is not important, but it must be several, since you were able to find no soul peace until you began your writings in this present life. Thus, you belong cosmically to what we call a writing group. You personally possess an affinity with professional writers, and they with you. On the other hand, it isn't likely that you would attract writers of novels or of technical manuals, for example, but writers of mysticism, philosophy, psychic phenomena, metaphysics, and spiritual matters. You are a root member of a group tree of writers in that you are the one now existing on the earth scene, but the writing group of which you are a part extends upward through all the planes of being. It is no small matter to discover, therefore, that your writings have been drawn from a mental reservoir of a great many previous writers, philosophers, masters, and thinkers. They usually arrive at your consciousness level through your own Master Teacher Kuthumi, but he too is a member of your writing group. Every member of the group unit is vitally concerned that Earth undergo a spiritual expansion through the written word. Your training through many lives has been through the written word. You are well aware that your obsession to write didn't just happen. Every professional writer experiences a course of intellectual development. Not all writers are members of the same group unit. Each must find their own individual avenue of expression in literary form. Your spiritual family, then, would be writers with a similar spiritual purpose. All members of your group unit have a commonality of thought. You accept your mental reservoir as community property. What is thought force? I have deliberately chosen to use the word reservoir. It is easy for the mind to visualize a reservoir collecting waters from various sources. Now, substitute a reservoir of living fire instead of water, not fire as you know it of earth, but fire containing thought force. Into this reservoir of fiery thought force has been poured all the powers of your thinking through this present incarnation, together with the members of the entire group unit of writers. After you leave this present body, travel up through the planes and arrive at the causal level, you shall be able to think not only your own thoughts, but to draw from the mental fiery reservoir to expand your thinking to stellar aspects. When you arrive at such a spiritual status, you shall no longer be tied to this particular solar system. Drawing upon the entire mental reservoir, you shall be able to move intelligently out among other star systems and constellations and become intimately aware of worlds beyond this. Although I have used writers as an example, the same applies to all Astarians, except that others may be a part of a different group unit. One may be a doctor or a lawyer or a housewife or a factory worker. Nevertheless, eventually one will recognize that one belongs to a certain group unit and that the soul has a particular spiritual mission. It may have little to do with housework, legal training, or the assembly line in the factory. It will be more attuned to that which the individual has always longed to do but was unable to accomplish because of earth limitations and obligations. Nevertheless, that which I have said about writers also applies to others. The fingers of your minds have reached out to touch so colossal a mind reservoir that regardless of earth life you are now experiencing, its daily incidents become increasingly inconsequential when measured by the whole of your cosmic lives. Faced by present problems and situations, such thinking may not yet have come to you, but mental growth will accomplish it. Once the mind has grasped the whole consensus of the soul's upgoing, today's mortal problems and tribulations assume their proper place as kindergarten lessons. If you are presently involved in irritating problems, you may become cross with me for saying this, and such reaction is normal. What I am saying may sound insensitive when you are involved in the very real day-to-day issues, but someday, up through your soul evolution, you will remember these words, and what I have said will resume its true meaning. Rebirth. To answer your question concerning rebirth, once you become a part of a kin soul unit, it is not essential that you reincarnate in order to experience earth life. You may harvest the fruits of earth lives through the experience of the souls within your group without returning to earth yourself. Thus, after the soul has advanced to a certain stage of enlightenment, it is not necessary that you be reborn several hundred times to learn more of earth's lessons. Soul benefits through observation and participation. True, it is necessary that the soul harvest the fruit of many lives, but it is possible to gather these into the consciousness from the manifold variety of expressions within the group soul. If one of the members of the group wishes to assimilate experiences from the pool of lives, then it may reach within the memories of others to achieve an ingathering of experience. Such a teaching is not easily comprehended, even though members of the group soul share the same ambitions in spiritual industries. Each soul differs from all other souls. No two are alike in character and nature, but still, each time one of the soul unit journeys earthward, their experiences may be vicariously assimilated by all the others within the kin soul unit upon their return to Etheria. Should one leave behind unfulfilled karma, it remains then for the next journeying member of the group to pick up that karma, to live through it, and to level the debt. For such a sacrifice, that particular soul is well rewarded on its return to Etheria, in that it will be granted a greater assimilation of wisdom than others who have not so endured within the unit. Upon what does soul wholeness depend? Nor can it be said that all souls must seek an affinity with other halves in order to become whole. Emergence with the soul unit fulfills this need in many respects. On the other hand, two members of a soul unit may discover that they are halves of a whole and unite as one psyche. Often, this pair will drop out of the group unit, the better to experience the independence developed through their all-absorbing love. Some souls never find an affinity, discovering that they have no need to unite with another half. They become a psychic unit within themselves by union within the group unit. Soulmates. Explain your views concerning soulmates, we asked. As I have just said, Burton answered, so far as I have been able to discern, there is no universal law concerning soulmates or affinities. It is true that a great many souls are divided into positive and negative aspects of one whole. These require the congenial companionship of a certain other half. But again, there are some souls who cannot be fed by such a union. Such souls can find no eternal affinity save union with that which is superior to them at every stage of their unfoldment. Always such a soul must reach upward. No other half soul can eternally fill its cosmic need. When that soul is male, he may find love, beauty, empathy, intuition in up preaching toward the feminine aspect of divinity. When that soul is female, she may find strength, creative energy, and power in union with the male aspect. These are the true priests and nuns of the divine kingdom. Also, one soul may have many soul mates along the way, but only one twin soul. Positive male means strength, creative energy, power. Negative female is the synonym of love, empathy, beauty, intuition. Such a blending creates mutual progression, beautification, gratification. With soulmates, fulfilled happiness continues until further unfoldment on the part of one or the other unbalances the scale and creates mutual unfitness, resulting in a natural separation. This is not because they love each other less, but because their affinity no longer is fulfilling the need of either. Such a separation creates no hatred, ill feeling, or discord, because each soon discovers the need fulfilled by another who completes another wholeness. Of course, it is most important for each soul to recognize the male and female aspects present in every soul, in every person, and to work to integrate the best of both aspects within each individual without relying on another person for this sense of completion, but simply for companionship, love, and support. You are complete in Him who is the head of all power. Some unions may last for what would be ages in earth time. Some are true eternal affinities. The complete blending of two halves. These are true twin souls. It is a cosmic law, truly, that male and female aspects, which can be found in every person, positive and negative, shall blend for fulfillment. But I personally believe that occasionally such a union may be truly with the divine being and not another soul half. However, teachers in cosmology here usually seem adamant that twin souls are always the ultimate finality, and I must give you the benefit of such teaching. When the human mind attempts to conceive of twin souls being joined together, the picture image that may first flash into the consciousness is that of two human bodies fusing in the act of physical love, or the visualization of Siamese twins. You may not be able to separate form from substance in your mind's eye. Perhaps you recall the lines of the poet: two souls with but a single thought, two hearts that beat as one. You see, somehow in these words, two forms infused and two human hearts beating as one. It is possible for twin souls to find and recognize each other on earth, on the astral, or in etheria, but only on the causal plane can the two actually unite as one. Such a union is a mental union and can be attained only after two souls have evolved up the same pathway of experiences together through countless lives, experiencing mutual sympathies and appreciations, mutual love and understanding, problems and happiness, sharing and exchanging. It may well require a couple of million years for these two to become prototypes of each other, to literally become two souls with but a single thought. On the causal plane, the amalgamation of two soul halves does take place in that the feminine psyche and the male psyche become one completed unit. On the causal plane, too, there is a greater fusion with one's cosmic group unit as preparation for absorption into the Godhead. The union of two like-minded souls thus may become an oversoul for some future newborn soul monad. It is only after we have united with our other soul half and, operating as a completed psyche, have experienced a fusion with our soul unit, that we may depart the causal plane to enter the great out yonder, timelessness, union with the divine being, all of which means that we are entering a state of divinity and will no longer be concerned with life upon any particular planet or satellite. Our wisdom will become involved in the administration of many millions of suns. When shall we go no more out? You must not assume that one suddenly becomes a globulous mass of fire when I say we assume forms of pure light, nor does union with God imply annihilation. You have simply become a consciousness existing within the Godhead, dwelling outside of time, outside your solar universe. Your consciousness is able to encompass universal wisdom. You are a larger part of the whole. As part of the divine principle in its essence, you are wholly aware of the imagination of the divine being. Existence on all planets becomes your possibility. You can conceive of the entire universal life, its past, its present, and its future, and all that shall be forevermore. The divine hierarchy. Are group units found within the divine hierarchy of master souls, we asked. And Burton answered, the divine hierarchy of master souls could be called the servants of the infinite being, in that it is composed of guides and teachers working with the planet Earth. Within this hierarchy, a number of group units are to be found, each member having attained the causal level of consciousness. It is the business of the hierarchy to work with even the minutest atom in the great evolving scheme of Earth. Humankind, indeed, has the power of free will, and you are the master of your destiny as you co-create your present and future with the help of the infinite being. Your angels and your guides, the divine hierarchy holds within its framework the complete destiny of Earth and its journey through space. What does the divine hierarchy do? The souls composing the hierarchy of Earth do not necessarily have knowledge of universes beyond ours, but they are familiar with the minutest part of Earth's destiny and design. Such a design must contain a variety of activity in order for humankind to have a flexible fate and destiny and free will, reacting to karma on the inner planes. How does karma relate to life on the inner planes, we asked. And Burton answered, karmic influences are exerted upon the soul during its stay on the inner planes between incarnations. Although karma is actually created only during an incarnation in the world of matter, nevertheless, you can take with you your personality characteristics, your emotional involvements. This in-between state is a time when your soul has the potential to level a great deal of your karmic indebtedness. It is also true that one will react and be influenced by karma, which becomes active during the inner plane existence. When you, as a young soul, that is, one who has not experienced many incarnations, are released into the inner worlds, that is often your first remembered acquaintance with the results of your karma, the seeds of action you planted during your time on Earth. During your journey through the Bardo, you will witness moving pictures of your life, the part you played, incidents in which you were the villain, and those in which you starred as hero. The soul becomes simultaneously aware of your wrongdoings and, for the first time in your evolutionary journey, realize that you cannot place the burden of your guilt upon the shoulders of someone else. You yourself must reap the harvest of your own sowing. The more advanced soul, acquainted with karma and rebirth, will hail the afterlife sojourn differently, whereas the younger soul may very soon choose a return to earth. This one seeks an upreaching to gain more significant meaning from the inner life. There is little time of inactivity, repose, and rest for you as such a soul, for you have long been anxious to return to your true abode on the higher planes. It is upon earth that you feel a stranger. In the after realms, you feel you are a prodigal child come home again. These all died in faith, strangers and pilgrims on earth. During or drawing upon your storehouse of memories, you become completely aware of the inner work you have been doing on the inner planes during the hours of mortal sleep and take it up again immediately. The younger soul spends the greatest share of time on the inner planes in a subjective state, analyzing the conditions of its last life and profiting through a retrospective view, thus activating little of its karma. The mature soul not only gains through such an analysis, but begins to climb another rung of the ascending ladder, thus responding creatively to activated karma. Such responses accelerates the progress of the individual soul. Thus, while the young soul will rest from its labors, activating no karma, the developed soul activates and erases much karma by grasping every opportunity to motivate impulses of a beneficent nature, principally toward loved ones left behind. This impulse, received by any sensitive soul, usually invokes an answering response. Thus, both are blessed. Abortion. How does abortion relate to the afterlife? We asked. What is the position of those in the higher realms on abortion? Burton's answer: remember, you and your body are two different things. You are a soul inhabiting a body. You have been taught that the heart seed atom does not enter the embryo until the 4th month, resulting in what is recognized as the time of quickening. See Astara's First Degree, Lesson 22. What is this quickening? It means that spirit has made its first contact with the embryo, transforming it from a globulous mass of protoplasm to an effective instrument for an immortal soul. The soul, in order to inhabit the forming body, contacts it through the heart seed atom. How does immortal spirit enter a mortal body? Previous to that time, the embryo undergoes a series of changes. It assumes various shapes. If abortion takes place during the first 3.5 to 4 months before the embryo mass is polarized to the heart seed atom, the embryo is not connected to a soul. There only exists an evolving mass of cells and protoplasm. Thus, abortion does not involve a soul during the first 3.5 or so months. It involves only a mass of cells still unconnected to a soul. However, once the heart seed atom has incarnated and spirit quickens the mass, the transformation from embryo to fetus occurs and a soul is indeed involved. Such a soul, however, does not assume full control until the actual birth moment, incarnating as a new personality, as a baby, to grow and mature in another life cycle for the soul. Thus, abortion or miscarriage does not create any negative karma for the mother, nor does it result in a developing nursling on the planes of etheria, since the soul has not been born in the infant form. The soul simply withdraws and awaits another in which to incarnate. Abortion is wrong only in the sense that an incoming soul has temporarily been denied an opportunity for another incarnation in earth life, but the question of sin is not involved in any way. In this, as in all else, a woman must be given the choice through free will of motherhood. Only she can know whether she feels her destiny includes mothering a child at any given point in her life. Bringing an unwanted, unloved child into earth life, or one which cannot be cared for properly, does constitute a mistake in that such can only result in a web of miserable karma for all involved. Though the soul who desired another incarnation may be temporarily disappointed in the denial, such a disappointment is far better than a life complicated due to lack of readiness on the part of the parent. To be a parent means to share with the divine being the responsibility of creation, and to accept such a burden unwillingly because of guilt is the greater mistake. What is the responsibility of every parent? The best answer to the problem, of course, is that people develop a certain safe and affordable means of birth control so that abortion is not necessary, since women who have abortions are haunted by feelings of guilt. Though abortion is not the best of all means to an end, no guilt should be involved, nor should abortion become a panacea or escape for the sexually active couple. When the medical profession finally discovers a method to detect the presence of a soul and learns that full habitation of that soul within a fetus does not occur until the birth moment, then any guilt attached to abortion should finally end. Let it be known, however, that more refined and universal methods of birth control will be perfected in the coming new age. Humanity cannot fully enter the Aquarian age until quality of soul births, not quantity, becomes our goal. Reason for rebirth. Tell us, Burton, why is one required to return to Earth through physical birth and become susceptible to the laws of this lower plane? And why can we not remain in the inner worlds and grow into perfection there? He answered, because the soul must manifest through the organization of matter until it attains a certain measure of maturity. Just as a human form must grow within the feminine womb 9 months to attain fulfillment, only in a world of matter, expressing in a form of matter, can the soul develop strength of character. In the inner world, once the soul emerges from the cleansing of purgatory, little chance is offered for further character development unless the individual soul actually seeks it. One need not work for one's living. True, you must execute spiritual duties in order to move higher to obtain a better environment. Still, one does not go hungry or need shelter from storms or become ill or face any of the challenges Earth offers, through which are so often found opportunities for growth. On Earth, we hail the hero who, born into poverty, becomes a world leader, a great artist, a founder of an industrial empire, a brilliant philosopher. Earth points with pride to such achievements because it speaks silently of challenges met and conquered, of obstacles overcome, of soul development. Once the soul has departed the mortal form, although further spiritual challenges may be met and conquered, still, until a soul has achieved incredible spiritual prowess, one must return to the womb of a physical form to rapidly develop further spiritual talents. Why is physical embodiment a God-given privilege? This is why all great teachers urge their disciples to make the most of every incarnation. While in the physical encasement, the soul gains its greatest goals. As unlikely as it seems, when one has attained one's ultimate heights in the spiritual realms, an innate yearning develops to return to the world of matter. A longing comes to taste again the delights of the flesh, to face the struggle for survival, to unfold creative attributes, to enjoy the beauties of life on earth. This, coupled with the realization that only through another physical incarnation can more spiritual heights be gained, is what ultimately draws the soul earthward for another sojourn in flesh. Also realized is the knowledge that once the soul has gained perfection through physical incarnations, it has no more desire to come to earth again. When the soul has attained complete organization and fulfillment, it has no more need to return to a physical form than the ripe apple to the tree. What often happens is that there comes a time when the pilgrim has a sudden remembrance of its earth life, the good things of earth, the challenges faced and won. The thought crosses your consciousness that the world is going on without you, that you are missing out on much. You feel strangely agitated to think that the world could progress so well without you. You feel left out of the times. Then it is that life in the fourth dimension begins to pall. There is no conquest to undertake. Things come too easily. The pilgrim longs for the iron grip of matter. You want to measure your strength against the resistant force of dense matter. Your spiritual environment seems too tenuous. You remember mistakes made before, and you think if and when you have it to do over again, you'll certainly do thus and so, and say such and such, complete your unfinished work, and do a better job. This singular mood may pass, but it keeps returning, and with each encore, it plays upon the keyboard of your mind with redoubled force. You began to see yourself on earth again, doing all the things you wanted to do but never had the time. The longing becomes increasingly persistent. Your visions more and more directed toward physical life, toward the vibrations of matter. The material currents act like a magnetic force, drawing you toward the human kingdom until your consciousness relinquishes its hold upon the fourth dimension and sinks into the oblivion preceding human birth. How are the super and subconscious minds like storage vaults? Remaining in the super and subconscious minds will be the remembrance of the yester life and the hopes of doing better, the dreams you hope to bring to fulfillment in the life to come. Let us say you have arrived at the highest spiritual level you can attain without reincarnating and developing a higher potential. Imagine you are to be a scientist who plans to do research and make scientific discoveries. Having attained this goal, you burn with an intense desire to impart your discoveries. But how? You can remain on the spiritual plane and try to impress your knowledge upon a scientist of earth, but you find such efforts tedious and wearying. You yearn to personally use the knowledge you have acquired with infinite pains. You become increasingly unhappy and long for fresh scenes and higher goals to achieve. Thus, you arrive at the crossroads of your spiritual career. You realize that if you seek out an earth scientist and impart ideas to this person, the scientist of earth receives credit for your invention. Having not yet risen above the quality of pride, this adds to your frustration. Frequently, a yearning to return to earth and concentrate your attention in the laboratories of earth far outweigh the prospect of remaining in the inner world. Such desires eventually pull the soul into the vortex of incarnation. And when you enter the downward cycle, which carries you into the aura of prospective parents on earth, you do so eagerly. Thus, you are born again to become a renowned scientist. Your dedication may have been more toward bringing fame to yourself than altruistic enlightenment to the world. Nevertheless, you have met a spiritual challenge, and both the world and your spiritual self gain perceptibly by it. For countless centuries, humankind has longed to catch some glimpse of life on the other side. This intense interest and desire for knowledge goes beyond simply wondering about golden streets and pearly gates. Questions about the moment by moment activities in the place called heaven have intrigued and fascinated people since the time the first mortal crossed the threshold of that other world. What is it really like? The teachings found in Astara's Book of Life provide answers to this and to other such questions of eternal importance. In our next lesson, lesson 20, Gleanings of the Mystic, questions such as these are raised and answered. What is the underlying need to incarnate? Why is a frenzied life spiritually unprofitable? Can character be perfected without suffering? How do we acquire heavenly wealth? Why is mind control important? Do I learn elsewhere than just here on earth? And I'll wait for September. All right. Well, before we end, if you guys are okay with that, we will share the August blessing with everybody. So just go ahead and just be receptive. Place the tip of the tongue on your palate. Arms, your hands can be facing up if you'd like. To all those that we have invoked to the Astarian hierarchy and all the great, great ones. May the rewards of self-fulfillment, spiritual wisdom, and an unfolded consciousness attend your efforts as you grow and progress in the ways of life. May your life journey culminate in the goal of supreme realization. The I am in an area of complete peace, an area of harmonious unity with a greater life, a place where heaven is, where God and I are truly one. As I become one with this essence of the greater life, it becomes one with me. Tatatso, tatatso, tatatso. And as always, I like to end with Earlyne's blessing. Master, beloved, who has committed to us the swift and solemn trust of life, since we know not what a day may bring, but only that the hour for serving thee is always present. Teach us how to be constantly alert to the claims of thy will and the call to service. Lay to rest by the persuasion of thy spirit our doubts and fears. Consecrate with thy presence the way our feet should go, that our humblest work may radiate. Lift us above unrighteous anger and mistrust into faith sublime. May we be modest in our times of wealth, patient in the hours of our adversity, serene in our disappointments, and humble in our moments of shining achievements. In all things, draw us toward thy perfection, that all the world may see in us thy radiant reflection, and keep us ever mindful that we shine for thee. That's so. May these physical eyes, physical eyes, physical eyes. Namaste, precious, precious souls. Thank you so much for joining us in this book of life. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for blessing the prayer petitions, and then Wednesday for Greg's classes. Have a beautiful day, morning, evening, wherever you are. Take good care. Thank you again. Namaste.